Everybody has trauma. That's right, even you, even me. Okay, everybody has trauma. I think when we think about trauma, we tend to think about very dramatic things, where people are abused or worded, I can't say it. You know what I want to say, but I can't say because this is YouTube. Gotta keep it family friendly a little bit here. But we tend to think of it as these very massively traumatic events, things that cause extreme trauma. And I think that that's kind of a problem that we've so narrowly defined trauma a lot of times in that way. Because I think that allows most of us to think, oh, I don't have trauma, or we compare our traumas. We think, oh, it's unrealistic, because I've not had that kind of trauma or whatever, so it's fine. But what actually is trauma, right? Like, I think most of it, we don't tend to really think of what does the word even mean, what actually is trauma. Well, trauma is a wound. And, you think of like traumatic head injury. It's the same kind of thing to our system, to our emotions, to our soul. That's what trauma is. It's a wound. And a wound needs to heal properly. And if it isn't, in the case of a physical wound, if it isn't bandaged properly, it's not taken care for properly, it tends to get worse. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. And everybody has traumas, right? We all have things that happen to us that emotionally bother us and make us unwell and lead us to, finding ways of distracting ourselves and numbing ourselves from our emotions and facing those things. So what do you do? What do you do about that? How do you heal those kinds of traumas? Well, the truth is you don't heal, you deal. And the best way to deal with our everyday traumas is sympathetic exploration to yourself. Getting to know yourself and sitting with yourself, sitting with your emotions, and getting away from the very easy and accessible distractions that are there at all times with the supercomputer that's in our pockets at all times. And when I say like sympathetic exploration, I mean don't judge, don't look for solutions right off the bat, don't blame yourself. Just in the same way you would with a friend, just question your life, question the things that have happened to you, and think of how they made you feel, and feel them. And through doing that, you'll kind of tend to realize the way that it's changed your behaviors and your perceptions and your beliefs. And I think it's important to not look for solutions, right? Because the solutions will kind of come as we start to deal with it more and heal. I guess it's funny that I said that before, but now I'm going back on that. But you just need to understand those things. And through that understanding, that is the actual way that you start to move forward from those things. Pat yourself on the back, give yourself a sort of mental hug, if you will, and say, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that happened. And that it made you feel that way. And it could be anything. It could be a boss that you had. It could be a teacher that you had. It could be the school system in general. It could be just this feeling that everyone is sort of against you, and ways that you've been hurt. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were simply neglected by people and never really felt a sense of fitting in. And the more you get to understand this and feel sympathy for yourself, the more you can then start to work to, okay, what do we do moving forward so that these things don't continue to harm me over the long run and create more traumas. And don't worry about that, though. Don't get anxious and think, oh man, I have to fix all these things. That's going to just simply cause more worry and anxiety, and probably will cause you to retreat even more. So be kind to yourself and explore. So be curious about yourself, because there's a lot about ourselves that we don't know. We have this whole reservoir in our heads of memories and experiences that we've had, and we never really take the time to sit there and think about those things and feel those things and come to conclusions about those things. There's a lot you can learn from yourself. And the interesting thing about that is there's nowhere else to look for that. You can be guided along by, say, a video like this or by a therapist, but really the only person who has access to that wealth of knowledge is you. And that's actually a very beautiful thing. If you think of it, it's kind of a gift that we have, that we live in our own world, and it's free to us to explore and accessible to nobody else. That's really cool. You know, you're free in your own head. And that's the other thing to remember, is that judgment that you're feeling that might be related to what other people may think and all that, you're free to explore that, and you're completely free from that judgment. Remember that you were a baby, right? And you were just born into this world. It's not your fault. Nothing that has happened to you is your fault. But with that, it is our responsibility to learn from ourselves and attempt to heal those things, because nobody else can do that for us. Again, no one has access to that knowledge. Nobody else knows what happened to you and how it made you feel. So again, yeah, be kind to yourself, be curious about yourself, and remember that you deserve sympathy, you deserve love, and you're not alone. You're never alone in these things. Again, everybody has these traumas, so don't feel like, oh, I'm weird, or I'm different, or I'm an outcast for those things. You're not. The only thing that will make you different or an outcast in some way, in a positive way, is the fact that you're not going to be someone who runs from it all the time. You're going to have the courage, the strength to actually acknowledge those things, and giving yourself love instead of more judgment and hate. That's actually kind of a rare thing. So, see you guys in the next video.